Oh, hey, boy. Man. Oh, shit. Shalom, everybody. Welcome back. This is part 8. Part 8 of Reading with SHILO. We back at it, man. We're trying to finish off chapter 3 tonight. That's the objective, to finish off chapter 3 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana. I'll try to finish this up tonight. That's the objective. That is the objective that, I'm shooting for. Finish up chapter 3. We only got like 6 or 7 pages. 6 or 7 pages left. I just came out that garden, watering my plants, closing my chickens down. I got one chicken that's sitting right now. She brooded. So I've been pushing a couple of eggs that's been in there underneath her, trying to get her to take them, and she has been. So hopefully we get some more chicks in. Oh man, I'm full of hamburgers and turkey boudin. Oh Lord, hamburger and turkey boudin. But hey, we gonna get it in anyway. We're gonna go ahead and try to get it in. That's what we need to do. That's exactly what we need to do. And I'm ready to finish off chapter 3, man, because I know I'm going to be in the garden all day tomorrow. And I might not. It depends on how tired I am. I got help coming. So we're going to finish off them last 3 rows tomorrow, Lord willing. We'll get my steps moved back, Lord willing. And then I got to cook a big meal for everybody. Cook a big old meal and, shit. Hey, that's going to be that. That's going to be that till after the Sabbath. After the Sabbath, then I'll most likely read again. Because I know I'm not going to read tomorrow night. I already know. I'm going to be too tired after everything's said and done, after I cook and sit my ass down and take a shower and get my boys situated. Oh, man, I'm not going to want to do nothing. So, but we're going to push through chapter 3 today, at least so we can get to chapter 4. So that way we can start chapter 4 fresh on Saturday night. Saturday night, we'll start chapter 4 fresh. But the objective tonight is to finish off chapter 3. Shalom, everybody. Welcome. So, I don't even want to do nothing, man. I'm so full right now. My stomach. I'm so full. Oh, Lord. But, hey, we'll go ahead and work our body, work our minds, and work our body again. That is the routine. And we got to do something. Man. I just can't sit here feeling plump. Plump and stumped. Oh, Lord, I'm so full. Even though I ain't eat a lot, but, shit. Hey, I'm still, shalom. Shalom, beautiful people. Shalom. Even though I'm so full, man, we still got to get shit going, man. Because you don't want to go to bed full. So let's get up and let's do something. Let's move around and jump up and get down. And work our body. And then we're going to go ahead and finish off chapter 4 of the chapter 3 of the Sea of Pages by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall, Africans in Colonial Louisiana. We're going to read for about an hour, man. We're going to read for about an hour tonight. Well, I say about an hour, but it might not take us an hour to finish off these last 6 pages or so. All I know is I want to finish off these last 6 pages. 6 or 7 or so. Yeah, we're going to read it. But I got to do a workout first, Ms. Zara. I got to do a workout first. And jiggle up all that food. I got to get it jiggled up and broken down and moved all around. Oh, man. All right, Ms. Zara. That's what's up. Let's get it in. I ask of you. I ask of all y'all. Hey, within the routine we're trying to build, as well as trying to build a better us and a healthy us, let's let's go ahead and I ask you to do 25, at least 25 things, 25 to 50 things. That's all I ask you to do. I'm going to do 100. I'm going to do me 100 of these things. Shit. I'm going to push through. It's the power of the mind. And hopefully it don't come out my behind. Oh, man. Yeah, but shit, man. We're going to push through and do these things right quick so we can go ahead and read. Let's go ahead and go, man. Hey, I don't know Creole accent. I'm from the bottom, man. I'm from that bottom. From the boot. Ready to knock a tooth loose. All right, shit. Oh, man, hold up. Let me make sure my pants, let me make sure my shorts is right so they don't slip down tonight. Tighten them things up. Bust my. All right, let's go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Ooh, I can see my stomach. 15, 16, 17, ooh, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, I don't like it. 25. Oh, shit. Let's see. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 5, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 5, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90, 1, 92, 3, 94, 95, 97, 98, 99, 100. Oh, shit, my calves is burning. I did 100, though. Shit. Oh, my calves is burning. Oh, man. Shit. My shorts was too tight for that. for that. And I didn't like the way my stomach was looking. That's why I got to get it out. That's why I got to work it out. Work it out. Work it out. All right, let's get it now. After I catch my breath. All right, Africans in Colonial, Louisiana. This is part 8 by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall's book. We're in chapter 3, Death and Revolt. We read earlier about the Company of the Indies and how they was taking over a certain position and they was trying to bring in more slaves into Louisiana. And they was having trouble for a little bit, but after their little time of trouble, they started bringing more boats in. They got a bigger foothold down the Senegal River. And they started bringing in more people, more slaves. Let's get it, man. All right. This is chapter 3, Death and Revolt. Now, Lagaffier has spent the entire summer, the most dangerous season for the crew, and on the coast of Senegal. And during the transatlantic crossing, 3 negresses drowned. And it is not clear whether these deaths were accidents or suicides. And when the ship arrived in Quai St. Louis and St. Dominique on November 29th, all the captifs and the entire crew were sick from scurvy. Whew. They put 45 sick Negroes and 10 sick crew members ashore and then re-embarked those who were doing better. And the ship left Cape St. Louis on December the 13th. Now, on January 7th of 1729, the captain hanged a naigre. A naigre. What is that? What is that? A naigre. What is a naigre? Naigre. Described as a thief found in the storehouse that night. A naigre. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Naigre. Naigre. Excuse me. It's showing naigre. It's showing it's a derivative of nigre, or maybe a synonym, I should say, of nigre, which means the blacks. Naigre. Naigre. Naigre in English. Naigre definition. Definition. Naigre definition. Qu'est-ce naigre? Qu'est-ce naigre? Que signifique la mot nigre? I don't want it in French, I want it in English. Everything is pointing to nigre, which means the blacks, or the black, preferably a male black. Nigre definition in English. Nail. Let's see what it says. Nair. That's not how you pronounce it, though. What does it mean? Nigger. Let's say nigger definition. Nigger. Nigere. Nair. Show results for nigere. Nigger or negre, meaning black or dark. The surname likely referred to physical characteristics such as hair or skin color, or could have been associated with, it doesn't say, I have to look it up. Negre. On January 7th, 1729, the captain hanged a naigre, described as a thief found in the storeroom that night, and he gave lequel or lecal to 4 other naigres, and lacal and estrapande marin was a legal punishment normally meted out to soldiers found guilty of theft and swearing or rebellion. And the punishment consisted of placing the victim on the platform below the main mast and seating him on a board placed between his legs and attaching the board to a pulley suspending from the top of the mast. And 3 or 4 sailors hoisted the victim to the top of the mast while the victim pulled on the rope to relieve himself as much as possible. Now the rope was suddenly released and catapulting the victim into the sea. Pooh, what a way to go. What a way to go. What a way to go. Now, most often, to make the fall more rapid, a cannonball was attached to his feet, and the sailors pulled him up and catapulted him down again, and as many times as the sentence required, and usually not more than 5. And for the dry kale, the victim was attached to a shorter rope that prevented him from being catapulted into the sea, and instead suspended him 5 or 6 feet above the water. Now, the kale was described as a rude punishment that tended to twist the arms, and the Dutch had their own version of the kale, more like keel hauling, and the victim was catapulted under the ship, which tended to be, in effect, capital punishment. Now, the kale was removed from the Maritime Penal Code by decree of the Provisional Republican Government of France on March 12, 1848. Now, La Galate arrived at Belize on January 18, 1729, with 260 slaves remaining from the 400 embarked at Goree. Now, 45 sick slaves had been left in St. Dominic, and about 93 slaves died during the voyage, 25 or 30 dead of scurvy, and shortly after their arrival. Now, the chalupes, small boats, I know I'm pronouncing that shit wrong, the chaloops, maybe that's it, the chaloops, CHALOUPES, chaloops. Let's see, chaloops. LOUPES.
Chaloupe.
I was close. Chaloupe. The chaloupe, a small French boat, as a ship's boat or a harbor craft. The chaloupe. Chaloupe. Now the chaloupes, small boats, brought 90 slaves up to New Orleans, and where they were to be auctioned off within 3 days to minimize mortality among them. And the entire crew was sick with scurvy. 11 of the 56 crew members had died, and 2 had deserted during the voyage. 2 had died in Senegal and 5 at sea before La Galate arrived in Louisiana, and 9 sick sailors and an officer were left behind in St. Dominic. Their chaplain died there, and La Galate was ordered to enter the Mississippi and come to New Orleans so that the crew could be cared for. And Captain Preville Quanit claimed that his crew was nothing but children incapable of rendering the least service. And on March 22nd, 1729, Captain Butler of Le Fleur was given command of La Galate, and since Captain Quanit and his officers were all too sick to continue their voyage. In 1723, a memorandum had urged the Company of the Indies not to have the ships on the African coast between May 15th and December 15th. The merchants of the kingdom have feared this season, but the hunger for profit has often prevailed, and some ships have been sent to Guyana in all seasons, and it is the mortality among the crew resulting from this type of trade which no doubt contributes toward making sailors so rare today. The loss of sailors is almost irreparable, and the company should consider their interests, or these interests, of state as important as that of her commerce. And the one can be reconciled with the others by only allowing her ships to leave between the 1st of August and the 1st of February. Now, most of the sailors were born in the ports from which the ships embarked, and their rations were meager, and they worked double shifts every day, and they had to provide their own clothes and bed. And Comte de Marapas, Secretary of the Minister of the Marine, wrote in 1726 that it is certain that the desertions among the sailors result partly from the harshness with which they are treated and the poor rations which are given to them. Now, according to Pierre Pluchon and many other scholars, an average mortality among whites on French slave ships was higher than among the blacks. And in port, the sailors got no rest. Now, Benneville wrote in 1721 that the sailors had to cut wood when they arrived, and this work was very difficult above all because the sailors got no rest from the time they arrive until the day they leave, and being occupied in unloading the effects of their cargo. And furthermore, the crews of these ships which have arrived up till now have all been sick. Now, why did these sailors sign up for voyages for which so few returned? Clearly, desperate poverty was the reason. And in the ports of France, workers were often not paid. And in Brest, people literally starved to death. The wives of shipyard guards were obliged to go begging in the streets. And many of these sailors and cabin boys signed up for the 3 months advance pay, which they left with their families. And some slave trade ships arriving in Louisiana after 1726 had relatively low mortality during the voyage, but illness broke out after landing. Now, La Venus made a rapid trade or a rapid trip from Laurent to Senegal and then to Louisiana, and with no stops in the French islands. The entire voyage took only 4 months and 6 days, and mortality among the captives during the journey was relatively light, Only 1 Negri and 5 Negrises and 14 nursing babies died. They make that seem like that's a little thing right there. The cargo arrived in seemingly good condition, but scurvy broke out 3 or 4 days after their arrival. Governor Perry wrote, "We would have pleased a lot of people, but almost all the cargo was attacked with scurvy. We made the first distribution, and of those who were not sick, but within the next day or two, most of the private individuals who had brought them returned them to the hospital suffering with this illness. And we were obliged to avoid losses and to get these colonists to take them back and treat them at their own homes, quarantining them for a month. And they accepted. And we branded them with the mark of the company so others could not be substituted in their place. And we did this because we thought that the colonist who only has 1 or 2 blacks would take much better care of them than a hospital, where there are already almost 200 suffering from this disease." These officials found it surprising that those who had seemed in good condition upon their arrival and had not suffered from scurvy for a month thereafter, nevertheless came down with the illness. The captain of La Venus claimed that the slaves became ill because they had been kept in the captivity at Goree for 5 months awaiting the ship, and had been fed only 1 meal a day and had been given only brackish water to drink. And I can believe that. This was according to him the only explanation, because the voyage had been short and they were well fed aboard the ship. Now, many of these deaths resulted, no doubt, from ignorance, and as late as 1848, there was no clear understanding of the causes of scurvy. Now, an old dictionary of nautical terms known as La Jale gives the definition of scurvy: a grave illness which, according to writers, develops from long sea voyages and living constantly aboard a ship where the air is often contaminated by the presence of many men, and the habitual uncleanness, the humidity of the ship and of clothing, homesickness, unhealthy food, etc., etc. And the true causes and treatment of scurvy are still unknown. Now, scorbut, mal de three, and mal de langue, all names of scurvy, punctuate pilots, logs of the slave ships trade to Louisiana. And while they were so vague, consciousness that lime juice was perhaps useful in preventing scurvy, it is certain that there was no systematic use of vitamin C aboard these ships, and captains, officers, sailors, and captives died of scurvy in large numbers. Now, the colonists of Louisiana were so desperate for slaves that they bid up to 1,000 livres for slaves suffering from scurvy and other illnesses. And in 1729, officials complained. We have seen during this last auction, as well as the preceding ones, that slaves dying 15 minutes after they were sold, and in large numbers, and others died before they left New Orleans. And still, others only lasted 2 days. And there are settlers, all of whose slaves died in less than 1 week. And we believe that you should fix the price of sick blacks below the price of those who are in good health, and in order to prevent the total ruin of settlers, because there are some and who will never be able to pay for them regardless of how good their intentions may be, and unless another slave is given to them to replace those who died. By 1729, the slave trade to French Louisiana, was drawing to a close, and the plans of the director Bruy had described as so beautiful and so solid and so approved that it has become the strongest and most powerful company in the world, collapsed in the face of the revolts along the Atlantic coast of the Senegal concession and along the Senegal River, revolts of the captives aboard the slave ships, and a devastating revolt of the Natchez Indians, who acted in cooperation with recently arrived slaves from Africa. The Natchez Revolt wiped out the company's ambitious tobacco settlement and about 1/10 of the French population of Louisiana. Now, many of the surviving colonists left, and those who remained were in desperate straits. And in January 1731, the Company of the Indies formally returned its Louisiana concession to the Crown of France. Now, one of the last ships to go to Natchez concession before it was destroyed was Le Fleur. It had left Laurent on March 18th of 1728 and stopped in Arguin at Arguin Island on April the 12th, and where the crew blew up Fort d'Arguin, the Arguin. Let's look it up. Arguin. Arguin. An island off the west coast of Mauritania. How do you pronounce it? Pronunciation. Hurry up, suck. I don't want to hear this shit.
Bondargon, West Africa.
Arguin.
Bondargon, West Africa.
Bondargon. Bondargon.
Bondargon, West Africa.
Bondargon. Argon. 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 Argon.
Bondargon,
I
West
heard you.
Africa.
Argon. Fort d'Argon. There we go. One of the last ships to go to Natchez concession before it was destroyed was Le Fleur, and it had left Laurent on March 18th, 1728, and stopped in Arguin at Arguin Island on April the 12th, where the crew blew up Fort d'Argon with mines and demolished the two cisterns and took the artillery and the garrison to Senegal, and arriving on May 10th. Now, on June 18th, Le Fleur embarked 400 captives for Louisiana from Gorée, and they were attacked on August the 12th by a pirate ship off the south coast of Cuba and did battle between 9 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. And they arrived at Belize on September the 4th with 356 captives, 90 of whom were quite sick and were taken at once to New Orleans by pirogue. Now, on October the 5th, Le Fleur left for New Orleans with a cargo of L'Aurora. 4 sailors from Le Fleur died in New Orleans and 1 from drowning. In April 1729, Le Fleur left Louisiana for France with 66,983 livres of tobacco. And in order to pick up the cargo at Natchez, the vessel had gone several hundred miles up the Mississippi River, but it could not get all the way to Natchez because the current was too swift. Flatboats were sent to pick up the tobacco, and the officials of the company tried to explain this costly voyage. We wanted to make an experiment and see if a ship could go up the Mississippi River to Natchez, but she was obliged to stop at 3 channels, which is six leagues away from 6 leagues away, and send for her cargo of tobacco, which was turned out to be of little expense for you. And unfortunately, she was not fully loaded because it has been a bad year, and we expect to send the demi-galerie to pick up the next harvest. Demi. There was no next harvest. And on November 28, 1729, the French settlers, they were massacred by the Natchez Indians in cooperation with the African slaves who had been imported to work on the tobacco plantations. Now, the Natchez settlement was never reestablished under French rule, and the Company of the Indies had great difficulty refitting its ships at Laurent and recruiting sailors and getting its ship back to Senegal on time. And the consequences of these delays were drastic. And this was no free market. Many of the captives, especially the Bambara, had made a long voyage from the upper Senegal and were already weakened. And as the documents extenues, as the documents called it. And before being held for months in the captiveries until the ship belonging to the Company of the Indies was available to take them to Louisiana. Now, the company's ships were not of good condition, and there was a shortage of desperate lads from Laurent to man them. And not that the lads were less desperate, and many of them were already dead, and the lucky ones had deserted in the Caribbean and had perhaps joined the buccaneers, that international, interracial confederation of pirates. And blacks died by the hundreds in the captiveries as the ships scheduled to carry them to Louisiana arrived months late. The survivors were often so weakened that they could not tolerate the voyage, and others revolted aboard ship. Now, all these problems are well illustrated by the voyage of La Venice and La Annabole, the companion ships that left Laurent on February 4th, 1729, to bring captives from Senegal to Louisiana. Now, in May of 1728, La Annabole had been substituted for Le Duc de Bourbon, and because this vessel required extensive refitting and it was expected that La Annabole could depart sooner, on September 29th, it was reported that the refitting of La Annabole would soon be finished, and on November 6th, the company's Senegal Bureau wrote to Laurent, "We implore you to have the work done on La Venus with the greatest possible diligence. We must inform you that there are presently 1,000 blacks in the captiveries of Fort St. Louis and Goree, and thus there is nothing more urgent." On November 17th, Laurent reported that bad weather was holding up the work, and on December 3rd, Laurent promised that La Venus and La Annabole would leave together, and I only await sailors to begin loading them. And on January 7th, 1729, it was reported that La Venus was ready to leave and barring bad weather. On January the 12th, 1729, the Paris office of the company wrote to Laurent, and the company sees with great anguish that the season prevents you from going forward with the loading of La Annabole and La Venus, whose expeditions are nevertheless very important. We beg of you to do everything that is in your power to get these vessels off, and this is of extreme urgency. And on January 17th, a final review of the two ships was ordered so that they could leave at once if the winds allowed for their departure. They did not leave until February 4th, 1729, and La Venus arrived in Senegal on February 26th, and La Annabole 2 days later. La Annabole left Senegal for Goree on April the 12th with 172 captives and captives, and with other orders to give them to La Venus if it did not have the complete cargo. Now, while La Venus was loading its cargo at Goree, a fire started in the chapel and at the fort there, and the powder magazine blew up. Now, several whites were wounded and several blacks killed or wounded. And on April 16th, La Venus left Goree for Louisiana with 450 blacks. And on April the 3rd, La Annabole left Goree for Gambia with 204 blacks. Now, La Annabole had to go to Gambia for the rest of its cargo because more than 300 blacks had died in the captiveries since December, and they had been held for more than 7 months awaiting the arrival of ships. Now, after a month at sea, there was collective suicide aboard La Venus, and at 3:30 in the afternoon, after the blacks had eaten, 5 of them threw themselves into the sea. They were all Wolofs. Oh, that's the ones they like too, the Wolofs. They were all Woloffs, and they were others who wanted to do likewise, but we stopped them. We lowered the boat to try to save the said blacks, but could not save any of them. They all drowned, although we threw them several poles and other things, and they did not at all wish to save themselves. Lavanus arrived at Belize on June 17th, but could not land. The vessel was obliged to go to Dauphin Island, and they then returned to Belize on July the 2nd. And again, it could not enter the river because of the contrary winds, but had to drop anchor 5 leagues from Belize. Luckily, Lavanus had been sighted the first time it tried to land, because it had run out of water, but boats were sent to bring water and to pick up its blacks. And during July 6th and 7th, they debarked the blacks, keeping 40 aboard to help unload the ship. And out of 450 captives embarked at Goree, 363 arrived at Belize. Now, after 43 died at Belize, or on their way up the Mississippi River to New Orleans, only 320 blacks arrived in New Orleans, and all of them so sick with scurvy that more than 2/3 of those sold at auction died. They managed to send only 30 blacks to Lavanus and to Natchez, and commenting on the death of over 300 captives in the captiveries of Goree, the Louisiana official advised, "You must try, monsieur, not to leave them there for such a long time. And because most of the time they only have one meal and drinking nothing but brackish water." And almost the entire crew of Lavanus came down with scurvy, one after the other. They were brought to the hospital in New Orleans and returned to their ship on August the 5th. And on August 26th, the Louisiana official wrote, "We still have no views of Lana Bull, and she was right behind Lavanus, although she was obliged to go to Gambia to look for the rest of her cargo. We expect her any day." Lana Bull never made it to Louisiana, and after picking up 200 blacks at Goree, it arrived in Gambia on April the 28th, and the cargo, especially the women and children, were in poor condition. The first woman died the day the ship arrived in Gambia, and they put the woman and the women ashore during their stay in Gambia, but nevertheless 2 other women, a boy and a girl, and 3 nursing babies died there. On May 22nd, they re-embarked the women and the rest of their cargo, amounting to 300 captives in all. Now, on May 26, 1729, Lana Bull was awaiting at the mouth of the Gambia River for a change of tide to take it out to sea. And at 2 a.m., the blacks revolted. They killed 2 sentinels who cried out to arms. And when the revolt started, the crew fired several rifle shots to intimidate them, but the blacks remained in formation, armed themselves with whatever they could find, and attacked the crew. The pilot wrote, "We were forced to fire upon them and seize them in order to save our lives and the company's vessels." And the blacks forced their way into the carpenters' and to the caulkers' storerooms and took hatchets, arms, scissors, and hammers with which they broke into the front of the rear bulkheads from the food storage rooms to the powder room. And then they came through the woman's compartment under the deck and broke into the gunsmith's bench, taking blades and hammers with which to remove their shackles. They found 2 pairs of pistols. They had taken several horns of powder and from the powder room, and they armed themselves with pikes and lances that were hanging from the beams below the main deck, and they fired at the crew from behind the calabotes. Calabotes, what is that? Calabotes. Calibotes. Calabotes. Let's see if I can say it. Calabotes. Calabotes. Not California.
Flight.
Calabotes. Calabotes. See. Oh, no wonder I'm pronouncing it wrong. Calabotes. Let's see. Let's try that. Calabotes. Nope. Cailbotes. Boties. How do you pronounce it? Calabotes or calabotis, calabotis, a French word that translated to grating or slatted floor in English. Let's see the pronunciation. Damn, not celebrities. Pronunciation. Okay, let's try it.
Introducing Domino's first ever stuffed crust pizza.
I want to hear that shit.
Try it for the first time tonight.
Caliots, but that's not what I want. Calibots. Calibots. I want calibots. I don't want cool stuff. Calibot. Let's see.
Introducing Domino's first ever stuffed crust pizza.
Calibot.
Try it for the first time tonight.
Bonjour. We are looking at how to pronounce the name of this famous French painter. We'll be looking at how to say more famous names from
Hurry the hell up.
that too many people get wrong.
Gustave Calibot.
Stay tuned until the end of the video to learn more. All right, so let's break it down in French. In France, it is said as Gustave. Some skip the final sound depending on the local accent. Let's say Gustave Caillebotte.
Calibot.
Caillebotte.
Gustave Caillebotte. Caillebotte.
And now, you know in English you could say
Caillebotte. Behind the Caillebottes, which were lattice-like walls that allowed light and air to enter the ship's compartments. The captives used the Caillebottes as shields and fired through the square holes, killing another crew member, and several barrels of wine had been opened. The crew got the upper hand after mortally wounding the leader of the revolt, and the remaining rebels were forced to retreat behind the anchor cables. The crew forced them out and put the shackles back on them. It was 10 a.m. before the crew got the ship entirely under control, and they made a count and found 45 black men missing, including those who had been killed and several others who had jumped out of the windows and into the sea, and one had taken the lifeboat. 3 women, 2 nursing babies had been killed. 47 blacks were wounded, including 4 or 5 of the main leaders of the revolt. And the leaders, mortally wounded, were hanging from the tops of the masts to serve as an example. Now 4 members of the crew had been killed and another seriously wounded, and 4 others less seriously. And that evening, a British ship entered the river, and its captain was invited aboard, La Nabol. And he said that the crews of 5 ships had been slaughtered at the same spot, and one of the ships had been his, and only he and 1 sailor had managed to escape. Now, a few days after the massacre, he found out that the blacks had landed his ship on the coast. And on May 29th, the crew of La Nabol put 23 blacks ashore who were too badly wounded to be re-embarked, and took 20 captives still remaining at the French trading post. Now, since there were no captives at the English post, they had to leave with only 249. And between Gambia and Cape St. Louis and St. Dominic, 2 nursing babies, a mother and her nursing baby, 2 men and a little girl died. And on the morning of July 9th, the day they arrived at K. St. Louis, the quartermaster warned then that the other black threatened to slit his throat if he did not agree to join a revolt against the whites. And at 9 o'clock on the evening of July 13th, a flock of our negresses burst into the main bedroom and punched embarked sub-lieutenant of the ship. Being suddenly awakened, he believed that if the negres, that is, men, not women, who had come to murder him, he jumped out of his window into the sea and then climbed back on deck. This tumult had caused great alarm, and he ran to arms and fired several rifle shots. Seeing that they were trying to come on deck in a crowd and believing that it was the negres, the gunfire had alarmed the entire port, and several boatloads of armed men came on board, one from the fort with a detachment of soldiers. And we pacified them at once, seeing that their intentions was to see if they could catch us off guard, and hearing, furthermore, their constant complaints that we kept them on board in order to eat them. On July 16th, wait till I find you. I'm gonna kill you. On July 16th, a port official came on board to release 6 negres who had been arrested for the security of the vessel and the crew. And he advised that it would be more appropriate for them to sell their slaves in St. Dominic and return to France with a load of sugar in view of the constant mutiny among their blacks. Now, Lana Bull sold her troublesome cargo in Quay St. Louis before leaving St. Dominic. And the crew heard the news from ship coming from Louisiana that the savages, the Indians, had made carnage in that place and have killed 200 whites. Now, the year 1729 was hard for the Company of the Indies in Africa as well as in Louisiana and at sea, and widespread revolts against the French broke out all along. Now, the Atlantic coast of Senegal and along the Senegal River. And in May of 1729, reports reached Laurent that there had been a kind of sedition at Gorée. The commander had been killed and several other Frenchmen imprisoned, and a more complete report followed. The governor of Gorée and most of the troops and the settlers of the island made a raid at Joual, 20 lieues south of Gorée on the coast. And the purpose of this raid was to avenge the constant insults that the blacks of that district carried out against the French. Finding no resistance when they landed, they burned all the houses of the blacks and then marched back towards their ship. The raiding party did not notice that several groups of blacks were waiting in ambush along the shore, and observing that the French returned in disorder and with a great sense of security, the blacks came out of their shelters and attacked the French with firearms and arrows. They killed several Frenchmen, including the governor of Gorée, and the survivors were captured, and King Bartison of Joual demanded that the Company of the Indies pay a large ransom for these prisoners and replace the powder and balls that the attackers had used. In 1726, GWENDOLYN had begun to supply captives on a regular basis, and they expected to send more than 1,000 to St. Louis by boat. Now, Lana Bull, during her 1726 voyage to Louisiana, was to get its slave cargo from the captives descending from GWENDOLYN. But these productive years came to an abrupt end, and Le Duc d'Orléans left Senegal on July 18, 1729, loaded with gum. The captain reported that a full-scale war had broken out with the king called Brock. And Brock, king of the Fulbe, or the Fulbe, who controlled the lower reaches of the Senegal River. The boat that went up to the Senegal from GWENDOLYN was scheduled to leave at the end of July, and it remained to be seen if they could descend the river or if they had been able to trade. And the pilot's log of Les St. Louis recorded on October 23, 1729, that the boats had descended from GWENDOLYN with no slaves because the French commander had burned down the village after a dispute, and then had to send to Gambia for slaves. But they're always doing some humbug. They are always doing some humbug. The 600 to 800 slaves normally coming from Galam each year were lost to them. And in March of 1730, Lionel Ball returned to Laurent with the news that the second revolt had taken place in Galam. Now, no slave ships arrived in Louisiana during 1730, and the ships sent to Senegal were too busy putting out fires there. Le St. Louis left Laurent on July 10, 1729, and armed with warfare and with 12 cannons mounted to go to Senegal and Louisiana, bringing 18 soldiers and 2 passengers from Senegal. There had been a 10-month delay in the ship's departure from Laurent because it had required extensive refitting, and it arrived at Senegal on August the 28th and remained there for 14 months. Fighting against British interlopers, challenging the Company of the Indies, monopoly of the gum trade along the coast of Mauritania. Now, the French had great difficulties with the Moors along the coast, and the pilot of Le St. Louis wrote, "The Moors there behave very badly, and we can never land without risking several attacks by these bunch of Moors, who are without pity, with which when they can be advantage of us, and whom they hate more than the other nations." And before Le St. Louis left Senegal, war had broken out in Galam, and King Brock, and had extended all along the Senegal River. Now, Le St. Louis and its companion ship, Le Nereide, which left Laurent on November 8, 1729, with instructions to bring slaves from Senegal to Louisiana, remained in Senegal until late 1730. And on January 1st of 1730, a riot erupted aboard La Nereide, and one of its officers boarded Le St. Louis and asked for help. And Captain Bredant of the St. Louis sent a small boat with some of his crew to restore order. They spent the night aboard La Nereide, and the officers and the sailors of both ships were decimated by scurvy and fevers. And the St. Louis pilot wrote, 9/24/29. The first lieutenant died after an illness which lasted 10 days. He was buried at sea. His nude corpse floated to the surface, and we sent a boat to tie more stones to his corpse. 11/19. Father David Dubourg, age 33, has died of maladie de langoisse, and that's another name for scurvy, and we have given him the waves for his tomb. 12/25. We put 4 crew members ashore, all sick from scurvy, mal de terre. And August 15th, 1730, Captain Donatoli, and 4 crew members, all of La Nereide, had died, and several were critical ill from the fever that they had caught in Gambia. Now, on August the 21st, La St. Louis put forth 4 crew members ashore and violently attacked by scurvy. La St. Louis left Gorée on September 14th, 1730, with 350 blacks and 11 nursing babies, and their cauldron broke, and they had to stop at Martinique and at Quai St. Louis between Gorée and Martinique, and 22 captives died. 2 more died at Martinique. Between Martinique and St. Dominique, 3 more captives died, and at St. Dominique, they put 45 captives and several crew members ashore, all stricken with scurvy. Between St. Dominique and Louisiana, 12 more captives died, and another captive died upon their arrival. Now, La Nereide never made it to Louisiana, and the vessel picked up 200 captives in Gambia in July during the height of the fever season, and the captain and the 6 sailors died from fevers contracted in Gambia. And during the Atlantic crossing, the ship lost 5 more sailors and the chaplain. And before leaving Senegal, 25 captives were already stricken with scurvy and were returned to the captivity. And by the time La Nereide docked in St. Dominique, all its sailors and the first lieutenant were sent ashore, all very sick. And they decided to leave 50 captives who were too sick to continue the voyage in St. Dominique, and to bring the rest of their captives to Louisiana as soon as the crew recovered. And on December 5th, 1730, They gave the rest of the cargo to Le Saint Louis to take to Louisiana, and La Naride returned to France. La Saint Louis arrived in Louisiana on July 21st, 1731, and landed a total of 291 captives, and the remains of its own cargo, and that of La Naride. And the cargoes of both ships comprised of 561 slaves, about 100 of whom had been left in Saint Dominique, too sick to continue the voyage. Le Saint Louis returned to France carrying the officers, crew, and passengers of Le Prince de Conti, which had broken up on the sandbar of the mouth of the Mississippi River. Now thus ended the African slave trade to Louisiana, sponsored by the Company of the Indies, and its ambitious plans were destroyed by a convergence of revolts of Africans in Senegambia, and at sea, in Louisiana, where Africans allied with Indian nations cooperated in conspiracies and revolts to take over the colony. I stumbled over some stuff. And that was chapter 3. And that was chapter 3. We made it in an hour. That was chapter 3, Death and Revolt, part 8 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana. Trying to figure out some of them French names, man. Trying to figure out some of them French words. Like Kelbotis. Once I saw it, I knew what it was. Once I saw a picture of it, I knew what it was. I just didn't know that's what they called it. But hey, we succeeded. We succeeded in the objective, which was to finish off chapter 3 tonight. So that way, because I'll get up in the morning and do Rising Scripts in the morning. But after Rising Scripts, that'll be the last thing I read tomorrow. That'll be the last thing I read tomorrow until the Sabbath, when we have Rising Scripts again, and we'll have the Sabbath reading. And then Saturday night, we'll go ahead and do, we'll come back with part 9. We'll come back and pick back up with part 9 of Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall's book, Africans in Colonial Louisiana. Man, a lot of scurvy. That scurvy was killing them people. Left and right. Shipmates, crews, chaplains, sailors, captains, lieutenants, everybody was dying. Men, women, and children. Everybody dying. Lottie-dottie, everybody from scurvy. Dying from scurvy. As well as the suicides and the revolts. I'm with them, baby. Fight for your life. Fight for your life. Fight. If you want to live, fight. Pick whatever you can. A 2x4. You know, I'm thinking they pick up that gun and that powder. They know how to use that? Did they know how to use that powder? They know how to use that powder. You know, I'm pretty sure you can learn. I mean, it's nothing to, you know, if you watch somebody long enough, you can pick up on the stuff they do. So I'm pretty sure they could pick up on it. But, you know, just to be able to pick it up, take it, and shoot that shit. Put a little ball. Bitch, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, man. Oh, man, I think about all like the little old sailing movies I've watched before, you know, from back in the day in the pirate times and even before the pirate times, you know, where they was loading them rifles, you know, like that. Oh man, that took a long time. That took too long to load that shit between shots, man. Too long. But hey, if they got it done, they said they killed one. They got one. They probably would have did better, you know, charging. Charge! You know, making a break for it and then busting them up, using the calaboose to push forward. They should have used that and pushed forward and like rammed it into them. And once they rammed it into them, came on the other side with them spears and stuff and jugged their asses. Jug them to the face. That'd have done it. But then, you know, it's a thing like, where would they have gone? You know, once they killed and took over the ship, you know, did you just sail? Would you just, you know, would you just try to sail? And I think some of them might have done, just like the ones who overtook that other captain's boats. And he said they found it landed on another island somewhere. Anything to get free. Anything to get free. I think that was the right way to go. You know, but hey, it is what it is. Like you said, that ended. That last little push and all them revolts in the end ended the Company of the Indies and the slave trade to Louisiana. Or at least that's what they say. That's what they say. So we'll probably go into chapter 4 is the Bambara in Louisiana. From the Natchez Uprising to the Samba Bambara Conspiracy. More revolts, which is what I like to read about. Revolution, la revolution! La revolution! Like Toussaint. Like Toussaint. Man, good shit. This is good shit. This is good shit. You know, I read stuff, but you know, I know everybody don't have the same mind and don't see things the way I see it, but shit like that, revolution shit, I like shit like that. Because you yourself have to do a revolution for your mind, man. The revolution starts in your mind. In your mind. Before they could do anything, they had to fix their mind to change the way that it was. And the same goes for you. You know, it could be stuff about you. You might not like how you are. You might not like certain things about you. So therefore, you're going to have to start a revolution in your own mind. So therefore, you can change the things that you don't like. Burn down the propaganda, burn down the plantations and break down the walls that's built up barricades and barriers in your mind and push through them, fight through them, battle through them. You're going to have to. It has to be a revolution. It has to be destruction to be able to build up anew. And sometime it's going to take some doing. Just like in push-up, you got to, I mean, not push-up, just like in exercising, you got to break yourself down. You're going to have to break all that fat down. Destruction of the fat body cells. Destruction. And then you build it back up with some new shit. Some good strong shit. Some that allow you to keep pushing forward and you build your habit. And sometimes it may take a long time to build the habit, but you can do it. You can do it. You just got to keep pushing. You have to be consistent. You have to be diligent. You have to have discipline. And that's easier said than done for people who don't do shit on the regular, you know. But you have to look at the things you do on the regular. You might do humbug and bullshit on the regular. If you can do the humbug and the shenanigans and the tomfoolery on a regular, then you should be able to do some good shit on the regular as well. You should be able to make the choice to, man, the hell with that tomfoolery. I'm going to do some good shit. That's why I'm doing the, you know, I try to do the work your body, work your mind, work your body, you know, within the readings. Because there's no excuses that can be made, or there's no excuses that need to be made. You know, it don't matter what I've done throughout the day, unless my body really hurting. Unless my body is really, really hurting, that's the only time I have not done the work your body, work your mind, work your body. You know, if my body's really been hurting, okay. And people are, you know, you could take a day off. You could take a day off, 1 or 2 days, recuperate and come back. I don't say go back as strong as you was doing, but you know, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not going back as strong, but I'm gonna build myself back up. Maybe not doing 700 things, but shit, I'm gonna build myself back up. I'm doing 100 things right now. I'm starting off with that. But even that little bit can help you. That little bit can help you because it starts somewhere. You have to start somewhere and do something. You got to read something, you know, if that's what you want to do. For me, I wanted to read better. So I had to start somewhere. I had to read something. And then, you know, I started off small. I succeeded at small, and then I worked my way up to bigger books. This is a bigger book for me. And for somebody who might read on a regular, oh, that's a small book. Not to me. Not to me. This is a hefty book for me. Don't get me wrong. It's not as big as the 48 Laws of Power. The 48 Laws of Power is bigger than this. But I've read that. I've read that, you know, and it's some other ones that are a little thicker than this that I've read, but still, it took time. It took time. It took patience. It took successions and succeeding in other books that were smaller for me to see, okay, this is not going to be that hard. It's not that hard. If I take it one episode at a time, one part at a time, I can push through it. It may take me longer than I would like to, but the objective is to succeed. And once I succeed, man, that notches under my belt. And I got like on here, man, I got 28. I mean, I got 27 notches. 27 notches of death, of assassinating books. 27 books assassinated. And this is going to be book 28 that I assassinate. And I haven't been doing the work your mind, work your body. I mean, work your body, work your mind, work your body. But I've been doing it for the last, let's say 3 books. Let's say 3 books I've been doing it. So I think I've been doing pretty good. I just need to keep at it. Keep at it. And I can see and I can tell that it's working in some form or fashion. I just need to do more. I just need to continue to do more. Doing things like being in my garden all day, sweating in the hot sun, toiling in the dirt, like Adam did, you know, toiling with the sweat off my brow. You know, that helps. That helps. That will help burn fat. That will help get it off you. Changing your eating habits will help as well. Portion control, that helps as well. Have more output of calories than you intake calories. Those things help for me. It helped for me. Now, that might not work for everybody, but it helps for me. And you have to find out what works for you and succeed at it. Put forth an effort. You will not see any improvement if you do not put forth any effort. So let's continue. Let's move forward. Let's do what we got to do. And like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, SHILO out here reading shit. We doing shit. We learning shit. We trying to build some shit, grow some shit, man, carve some shit, adventure some shit, fish some shit, kill some shit, man. We trying to do some shit around here. And part of that shit we doing is being better, building a better us. And if not for us, for those that come after us, for your children, give a better example for them to see. Build it. We can build it. You have all you need to succeed. As long as you have breath to breathe, you have all you need to succeed. And for me, when I open my eyes in the morning, if I got breath to breathe and I have all I need to succeed, then I might as well read. I might as well read. So I do. I try to do and continue to have it. And the more I read, the more knowledge get inputted, and the more I'm in control of what gets inputted, and the more recreation that I'm putting in my mind, and I'm manifesting the knowledge and intelligence and the walls and the plantation, the new city to be built up in my mind, and to get rid of all the humbug, as well as a new body. A new body, I get rid of the old jiggly puffs. Get rid of the jiggly guts. Get rid of the jiggly guts. And 6-pack, here we come. Woo! I don't know if I want to go that far. I'll take it, but I'll take it. But this stuff need to be done. Changing your habits and developing new ones. Man. So let's get it, man. 100 jumping jacks right quick. We're going to see. I might do 50 of the little things and 50 jumping jacks, split it up. But either way, it's going to be 100 things. Either way, it'll be 100 things, and then we'll close it out. And that'll be it for tonight's episode, tonight's part 9, or part 8, excuse me. Is this part 8? I have to go back and see. Let me look at it right quick. Here we go. I found a description. There we go, part 8. part 8. This was part 8. And we'll be finished with part 8. And we can come back Saturday night, Saturday evening, Saturday night, most likely Saturday night for part 9, which will be the beginning of chapter 4. So let's go ahead and get this shit, man. Let's get this shit out of the way. Work our body one more time. Oh, Lord, work your body. Work your body right. 50. We're going to try 50, 51, and 50 of the other. 50 of the clapping, bam, and then 50 jumping jacks. I feel like I'm... That's what I feel like I'm about to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 6, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Let's do 50 jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 26, 7, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. 100 things. It's 100 things. We in this thing. Let your fat jiggle. Get up and make it wiggle just a little bit. If you do the work, if you exercise a little bit, yeah. Your little pudgy stuff, your little jiggly stuff, it might jiggle for a while. But after you keep doing it, boy, that jiggle gonna get gone. That jiggle gonna start dissipating. That jiggle gonna start dissipating, man. Man. And then you can work your body into something better. Continue to change yourself for something better. Your mind and your body, your health-wise, your mental, you can do it. You can do it. You make the choices to do it. You have all you need to succeed as long as you have breath to breathe. Whether it be deep breaths like me, but I still have all I need to succeed, man. All praises to the Most High, man. All praises to the Most High. I appreciate everybody that stopped in tonight for part 8. Part 8 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We succeeded. We read it. We finished chapter 3. Off to chapter 4 now. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing one part at a time, one episode at a time, one day at a time, one book at a time, one page at a time, one chapter at a time, one paragraph at a time. Here a little, there a little, line upon line, until we seek and find the truths and the treasures that has been left behind for us to help us engage and reform our minds. All we got to do is take the time. Expose the lies, unearth the truths, burn down the plantations, and let your spirits loose. Man. We can do it, baby. We can do it. Get it done. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man. I appreciate everybody once again, man. I hope everybody has a wonderful night tonight. Hey, handle your business, baby. Handle your business. We out here. Thank you, Ms. Zara, for all the comments. Appreciate it. I like the good commentary. I like good comments. All comments help. Don't get me wrong. You know, even the bad ones. I don't like the ones I don't like the nincompoops that come in with the bullshit, but all comments help for the channel to grow. Every like helps the channel to grow. And that is definitely what I would like to happen for the channel to grow. We made it to the first milestone, which was 1,000 subscribers. Hey, all praises to the Most High. All praises. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who subscribed and helped push the channel up over to 1,000 subscribers. Now we got to keep pushing and keep on going. 3,000 is the next goal. 3,000 subscribers is the next goal. Man, that's the next goal. Or the next milestone for me. The next milestone. In due time, but consistency is definitely going to be key. I wish I had a better time frame to say, okay, look, I'm going to do it at this time, but I don't want to lie. I don't like to lie. I don't like to have people waiting, you know, and put myself in a position where people could be like, man, that man a liar. I knew that nigga was lying. I don't like that. So I don't necessarily want to tell people I'm gonna do something that I'm not going to do, or I'm not going to be able to hold up my end of the bargain. So I know I'm doing a lot of work, and I'm trying to make sure that in between the works that I am doing, that I get in and put on a live. So, and that's normally how it goes. If I have time, you know, throughout the day between homeschooling and housework and yard work, garden work, animal work, between being the father, all those things, man, I'll hit live. I'll hit the live. Like the boys are in bed right now, it's a good time to read, but normally I find that my best times that I read is around 3 o'clock in the morning, because of, like, with all the work I do, even with the carving, like I got to find time to put carvings, do carvings and all that shit too. But in the stuff that I do, if I can get to bed, I'll be so tired. I'll be so tired from all the work. Sometimes I might go to sleep at like 10 and I'll sleep till 2, from 10 to like 2:30, something like that. And I'll get up and I'll want to read. So I'll read around that time. If I do that, it throws off my cycle. Don't get me wrong. It throws off my sleep cycle. But and if I can do it back to back, I'll do the reading and Arise and scripts back to back. So that way I ain't got to get up and do it again. But definitely I'll try to get up. If I don't do the Rise and scripts, I'll probably end up going back to sleep after I read. And then when I wake up, I'll do Arise and scripts then. But I definitely want to give at least a live a day. At least one in the morning, and one at night. If I could do 3, I'm working on doing 3 lives throughout the day. Like 1 in the morning, 1 midday, and 1 at night. I just got to get it together. And then I'll be this summer I'll be reading. I'll be reading at the library. So I volunteered to read for my local library. So I'll have to try to fit in time with that too as well. So we'll see. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to do a major push on the renovations on my house this summer as well. So it'll be a lot of stuff. I'll still try to get in, you know. At least I could do is the Rise and scripts. The least I could do that, you know, to give thanks and praises to the Most High for allowing my eyes to open up and for me to have breath to breathe. At least I can do is Rise and scripts. So I almost like to do that one, but the other ones, oh man, we'll see. I do want to finish the books. I want to finish the book and keep piling them up. Man, when I can get this thing, I would love to have this filled all the way up. I want to have it marked all the way to the bottom. That's what I want. I want that. That's what I'm shooting for. And right now I'm at the beginning. It's looking good, baby. I'm looking good to me. I'm looking good. 27. Ooh, 27 of them suckers. I would have never thought. But here I am, changing my reality into what I'm looking for. But one day I have it. I don't know how many it's going to take, because it's going to be more than 100. Because if it's this 25, I could do 100 by halfway, so it might be about 300. By the time I read 300 books, I'll have the back filled up. Maybe it might be 400, 400, 500. We'll see. We'll see. I'll keep pushing though. I'll keep pushing. But that's it for me tonight, man. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Get y'all some rest. Handle your business. Do whatever the hell you're going to do. Say your prayers. Kiss your children. Show yourself some love. Work out some more. Get off your fat ass and work out, because I'm going to get off my fat ass and work out. Yeah, I feel fat. Oh, I feel fat. It may all be in my mind. But don't worry, I'm going to be like Drill Sergeant, make me fine. Make me fine, Drill Sergeant, make me fine. Oh, man, that's what it is. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful night, man. I'm Shalom. I'm out here, baby. Shalom out.